theme that's coming up a lot for me in my life lately is the role of fear, and kind of the saying, you know, the life that you want is on the other side of fear, or the life that you want will cost you your old one. I've been kind of ruminating on that idea a lot because there is so much truth in it, you know. I think a lot of us, when we manifest and we write all of these lists of all of the things that we want and, you know, all the things we want to attract and pull into our reality, we see those things in almost the framework of what we already have, or in a setting that we're familiar with, or we kind of create this picture of how we think that will look, and we don't really want to envision what's required for us to get there. What am I trying to say? Funny trick of the mind, right? Because your brain can only visualize in the present, and that's why we get so caught up when we're thinking about the past or the future, because our brains are literally not meant to compute those things. It's meant to process what's going on right now in the present and analyze what's going on right now in the present, make decisions based off of that. You know, it's primary survival mechanism. We can feel a lot of resistance towards, I guess, making the trade that it is required to have those things that we've asked for, because we don't know what they look like. You don't know exactly what you're giving up, but you don't know for certain what you're going to get back or how it's going to look. Like, I think a part of you knows that you'll have it, but just the unknowingness and uncertainty of how exactly the image of it is going to look with you in it, I guess it's quite unsettling, and that's where most of us back out, and that's where most of us kind of give up, or just stay in our comfort zone because it's what we know and it's what is familiar. But I think it's worth noting that those things that we want so desperately, they need a change of environment to be able to grow. They exist in a different framework, they exist in a different environment, and that's just kind of the simple facts of it, you know. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but I do think that it's very unlikely that the changes that you want to see in your life, or the things you want to put into your life, are going to come without you making, you know, profound changes in some area, whether that be your environment, your attitude, your personality, your habits, whatever it may be. And it's just kind of ironic that we want to draw on these things kind of within the current picture situation that we're in, because that's the easiest thing to envisage, when in reality is the current situation or the current framework has gotten us as far as it can take us. Most of the truth of it has been out there for a while, you know. You've had all there is to be had, you've experienced all you've had to be experienced in this particular framework, in this particular environment and time and space. And in order to gain more and experience more and expand as a human on all levels, including abundance, including consciousness, including all of the things as a person, you know, your environment has to expand, your fear has to expand, your bravery, your courage has to expand, your trust has to expand. All of these things have to be exercised. And I think what I'm trying to say is, if you're not seeing those changes in your life, or you're not seeing those things manifest, be really, really honest with yourself and ask yourself, like, has this current framework that I'm in right now given me all that it can? Have I milked all that I can out of this particular experience? And is that why nothing new is kind of coming to the forefront? A mourning dove has landed on my AC unit. I don't get a lot of birds in this little alleyway at all. Like, nothing comes to hang out, no pigeons, nothing. I've been here for 4 years. It's only happened, like, this is only maybe the third or fourth time ever. After my last breakup, I saw a mourning dove on my windowsill, like, around the same time. He's looking for a mate, you know. I just think they're so beautiful, and they always seem to visit at very pivotal, intense times when I've been in this flat. I always found some significance in them, I don't know why. Look at them, how beautiful. They make such a lovely sound. Kind of ominous, but I love it. Maybe that's why I like it. Highly recommend starting your day with these chill soundscapes. It's actually from a playlist that Anastasia gave me, the psychic that gave me that incredible reading in my last video. I will link it down below because I feel like that video is integral catch-up watching to make sense of this video. Let's start a new one. Let's start a new one. I'm gonna start a new playlist. Ooh, 333 on the timer. Like that's kind of like the theme, the energy of this video is just very soothing, chatty, introspective, calm. I talk to myself a lot. I discuss these ideas and bring things into my awareness and that sort of back and forth dialogue way in my head all the time. So what you heard was me actually like on the side of the street. Like I'd just gotten 2 coffees and I put them on this manky rubbish bin just so I could stop and capture that dialogue that I was having with myself like in the moment, because I just felt like it was important and I got the overwhelming sense that I should, and I'm so glad that I did, because I just find like my thoughts are so fleeting and I can never re-approach it or re-articulate myself the same way than when it's in the moment like that. So what you actually heard is that noisy recording that had so many gaps of just me thinking. Knew that it was an idea that I wanted to capture, thoughts in my voice notes, and I have like reams and reams of stuff in my phone, ideas and things like that that I want to discuss with you. But one thing I've noticed is when it comes to just taking all of these ideas down and not acting on them in the moment, just sort of lose their magic, they lose their potency. I had the idea of re-recording it and I couldn't. You know what, maybe that's just a sign that I should share little snippets from the original. Even though it was a little raw, imperfect, side of the road captured clip, it has the purity of the moment within it. Your guys' comments from my last video made me so much more comfortable. This is what the majority of you guys are here for, is you're here to just hear my perspective and just sit down with me and spend time with me, broaden our awareness to these types of things. So shout out today to our favorite sponsors, Squarespace. I'm sure you all know by now because I talk about them all the time, but they are your one-stop shop for all things website. If you want to create your slice of the internet, whether it be an e-com shop like my store, loversunday.com, an e-portfolio, a blog, just anywhere where you want people to find you, Squarespace really does have you covered. They have beautiful templates that you can use as a jump off point that are just highly responsive, highly professional. And of course they got that 24/7 support team whenever you need it. Got lots of integrated features that you can add to your website as well, such as exclusive content for members, subscriptions. If you offer a service, you can take appointments, and they'll also even handle all of your merch now, which I think is great. But mainly they're easy to use. Anyone can do it at home. If you would like to give it a go yourself, you can always check out my 2-week free trial at squarespace.com/Tarmer. It will be in the top line of the description. Decide to push your website live, you will always get 10% off your future billing with code TARMER at checkout. I continue the conversation, but I am going to do it while I try some of these products that I got on TikTok shop. Ooh. Round Lab Birch Juice Moisturizing Sunscreen. I don't know, I needed a new sunscreen, and this one is like a different style. It's a Korean one. Cannot escape the ads on TikTok. Like everyone and their mother seems to be trying this one. I use so much sunscreen these days, like that, like 2 fingers length is how much you're supposed to use. So if you think that that tiny bit of SPF in your makeup is enough to protect you from the sun, it's not, babe. Like you need this much. I hope it rubs in. I think we're getting somewhere. It's starting to rub in now. Obviously, after coming back from my very, I'm not gonna lie, traumatic, but also, you know, very beautiful in a lot of ways, trip to Ireland, you know, a lot of things were put into perspective for me. My relationship with my mom in a weird way definitely improved, which like it's never been bad, but like I just feel mom-daughter relationships can be kind of weird, can't they? Describe it, like it's just better than it was before. We're closer, we're more connected. I know more about her, especially after doing her QHHT. Like I know parts about her past that I never knew before, like really like
dramatic and traumatic things. So yeah, ask your parents about their lives and the big things that happen to them. I feel like I understand my mom like a lot more now. I think as children sometimes we can kind of shy away from getting to know our parents, and it's not really that we don't want to ask the questions, it's just that, I don't know, parents can be triggering, and sometimes kind of opening up that line of communication from more of like a friend angle can be sort of difficult. It can be hard to switch into that sort of role. Anyway, there's the sunscreen. I think it's actually very pretty on. Got a tacky texture, but not in a gross way. I don't want to wear that much makeup today, but Glossier did send me what I think is their new stretch concealer foundation. Concealer, like the actual pot, like that's my go-to everyday. Generation G lipstick and like are the two things that, as you know, have had me in a chokehold for years. But besides those two products, like I have not been interested, to be honest. Like I actually went through, I'd say like a 2-year just unimpressed period with Glossier, to be honest. I think Emily Weiss has stepped down, and I don't know, I just feel like there's a bit more life being breathed into them. Foundations, I don't really feel like wearing too much makeup today. I do have to film. I don't know, I'm kind of feeling the natural skin vibe, so I'm just going to use a little bit. I feel like I'm shade medium neutral. Use a teensy amount, but number one, first off the bat, love the pump. This was always my issue with the skin tint. I just wasn't a huge fan of skin tint, to be honest. It was grand, but like just so, that bottle was so messy, and I just never wanted to use it because of that. Oh my god, I'm probably going to do a Hailey Bieber here because it looks pretty pigmented. The camera dies like right when I'm applying it. Okay, we can do a little bit more, like a little bit under my eyes too. Honestly, if I was wearing foundation, like that's how much I would wear anyway. Evening out its skin tone, to be honest, like lately I have just really liked like the natural flush in my skin. I haven't really been trying to cover it up too much. I think as well that sunscreen has got such a dewy base to it, it's probably difficult to really tell the true texture of this foundation. There's definitely way more foundation like than skin tint. Concealers, but I don't know if this is just rebranded concealer or a different product, because this one, my old one says stretch concealer and this one says Bam concealer. I'm trying medium too. It looks the same. I think they just may have rebranded. And this is just the one that I use. Just being more mindful of my kidney and my liver health. My dark circles have not been as much of an insecurity. They used to be like my biggest insecurity, and now I just feel like I can cover them up like relatively easily and just let the rest be a part of my face. But yeah, that fear of change, that fear of movement, the fear of just like upsetting what you have or being sort of like uncomfortable again. So I've just been working my way through that resistance by asking myself these questions, like why, like what is it about the change that I'm really concerned about? Why do we do that thing where we just like, we hang on so tight? We never want anything to change, a sacrifice in something in your life, leaving toxic relationships, friendships, leaving that job that's kind of holding you back or taking all of your energy, giving up those good habits or giving up those bad ones that are sort of in the way of that progress or in the way of those good things coming in. It's like, ugh, it's sticky. You just don't want to do it. You want to kind of have your cake and eat it too. But it is true, they say like nothing changes if nothing changes. There has to be expansion for bigger, better things. Like you need to make room. I've been asking for big ass things. I've been asking for big opportunities, and I think because I live in such a city of big opportunity, somehow correlate that with more chance of those things happening for me if I'm in this space, if I'm in this city. I was feeling when I recorded that, and something that has been helping me with the idea of, you know, potentially moving on, who I am in this space here right now, who I am in New York, that this experience I think has given me all it can give me. Like it's been comfy for a while. I've been enjoying that comfort. I think when you have instability happening in your life, when you kind of get to a place of like homeostasis, it's natural to want to stay there. It's natural to enjoy it. It's rest. It's needed. But I think with me is I know I have a tendency to overstay my welcome with a lot of different things. I just feel like the universe always has a way of shaking things up and removing things if you are not willing to make those changes yourself. So that's kind of where I'm at. Are there things that I wish that I accomplished or experienced in New York the time that I've been here? Absolutely. Kind of like I'm content, like I feel like I got what I needed out of the experience and I've kind of milked it. Always more as a human being you feel like you could do, but at the same time, as like a level in my life, as the New York City accomplishment level goes, I feel like I passed the level. Beautiful, lovely home that I enjoyed being in and was able to maintain. Like, it's been an amazing 7 years, and yeah, I think that thought of just being okay with this experience offering as much as it can offer me and me making the most out of it sort of been bringing me a bit of closure, a bit of just looking forward, I guess, to the next chapter, which I'm still very much figuring out. I've been talking with my boyfriend about it all week since getting back, and it was so lovely that he was here to just scoop me up, like just to be hugged and not alone in my apartment after such an up and down month. We've been talking through our options a lot and like trying to figure out the next thing, and it can be so overwhelming making these like big life-changing decisions. He's a very grounding presence, and he's just been reminding, I guess, both of us, but me especially, is to not get overwhelmed by all of the decisions and just to do one decision at a time. Yeah, I also, like in my last video, didn't give you any update on my dad or anything like that. It was very up and down. It was a bit more stable before I left, but it was still a bit rocky. But he is on steroids now for at least another month, and that seems to be really stabilizing his confusion levels and his mobility. So yeah, we're still in the process of like figuring out why there's still swelling and why it's affecting him. I think he didn't get the proper aftercare right after his surgery. Like, he had major brain surgery and he was pretty much left out of hospital the next day, and I don't think that that was the right decision. When he wasn't recovering well, bringing him into the hospital, like, he deteriorated massively, and I have so much respect like for people that work in the healthcare system, but neglect did occur, and we paid the price for it as a family. I didn't even ever get into with you guys, but it was an extremely traumatic experience for us as a family. He came out worse than he went in. The difficult bit, that was the traumatic bit, not so much the surgery. Shate healthcare workers so much. It's just, if you're in Ireland, you will know that all of the hospitals are understaffed and everyone that is working is tremendously overworked and given way too much to do. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes patients pay the price for that. If I need to go back, I am ready to go at a whim, and I'm kind of organizing my life with that sort of mentality. But things are okay right now. Things are really stable. It's just we're kind of out of that state of panic and emergency. Okay, there's the face. There you have it. I guess to wrap up my long-winded thoughts on just fear and change is that just find a way to lean into the resistance of it all. I feel like I apply this to any area of my life. Just get uncomfy. Do the things that make you expand and grow. But if you're noticing stagnancy in your life, or you're not like attracting the things that you're, you know, trying to pull into your reality, like, be really fecking honest with yourself. Like, really sit down and ask, like, am I the problem? Am I the problem here? Is there anything I can do to pull my frequency and resonance and vibration up towards the things and the greatness that I'm asking for? The thing that I don't want to do, the thing that I need to do, you know? And actually I was comfort rewatching an episode of Hellier in season 2. It might have been the last episode actually. They were talking about initiations in the context of like magical ritual. There was a line in it was something like, every initiation starts with a call, and the call is scary, and if the call to do whatever you need to do isn't scary, then it's not an initiation. And I truly do believe that everything that just went on in Ireland was an initiation into the next phase of my life. It was a culmination of all of the awareness work and all of the mindfulness work that I've been doing, and just like all of the growth that I've experienced in the last few years here, Saturn return, all of that stuff, and sort of being like, okay, integrating it all now, this is kind of go time. It brings you up to that like next level. Like I feel ready for the next level and challenge, even though I'm fucking terrified. Oh my god, how could I forget this? This was the other thing that I got from the TikTok shop. These waterproof faux freckles, and apparently these are the best faux freckles that you can get. I'm on my hand because that's how I saw some people doing it, and I think it's a really clever way to do it instead of like directly on the skin. Oh, cute! Cute, 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 cute. I will say I love finding all of these small independent sort of makeup brands on TikTok. Like those look so real. I didn't buy too much while I was away, but I did get this new necklace. As you know, when I'm doing sessions or doing any type of like energy stuff, I like to wear some kind of like crystal jewelry. Myself to a new one. This one has selenite, and I don't know if this is tourmaline or there's two obsidian, but whatever one it is, it's good for like emotional and just like energy protection, and the selenite is really good for like, the clear one is good for cleansing energy. And I really like this brand because they leave the back intentionally open so that the crystals actually touch your skin. And I bought myself a new book, a book that I have been actively avoiding because I shared this on Instagram. Back to everything I just talked about. We know the things that are going to take us to the next level, but we just actively avoid them because we know we're going to have to do work, know that we're never going to do things the same way again. And this is one of those things. It's called The Artist's Way, Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. And I've known about this book for years, but I think it's gotten a real resurgence since the TikTok generation has kind of, you know, found out about it, and everyone's kind of resharing it again. If you like the Rick Rubin book on creativity, I can nearly guarantee you that this man, like that this is in his house and he's probably read it 12 times. All of you have agreed that it's pretty profound. I don't think I've seen one person be like, wasn't really for me. I think that everyone picks it up, and the only reason they put it down is just because they're like, oh, maybe I'm not ready. But it's kind of like a 12-week program with exercises in it. It says, a course in discovering and recovering your creative self. It's not just, you know, for painters or musicians or anything like that. We are all creative artists in life. Even just decision making every day is a creative choice. I think at this juncture in my life, it just felt like the right time to do it. Like I want to do the work. I want to do the work. I want to grow. I want to expand. I actually think to hold myself accountable, I might need you guys. So if you want to jump in and do like an unofficial, not like a book club, but I'm just gonna chime in and keep myself accountable by letting you know how I'm getting on with it. It's kind of just my first day back vlogging. It's just not pressure myself to be like running around and trying to get all of these like clips from here, there and everywhere, but just a bit more of a one-to-one sit down chat with me. Just make videos like these and hopefully they'll be well received. Thank you again for all of your comments and loving words and support on my last video. Like, don't think I've ever received such an outpouring of heartfelt messages in my life. That comment about wanting your supportive words is like a throwaway comment, but my God, I didn't know how much I actually needed to hear all of the things that you said. So if you took the time to write me a comment, thank you so much, because it lifted such a pressure and a weight. Follow me over on Instagram and TikTok, kind of leaning more into my spiritual development side over there as well, and kind of fusing it with all of the other stuff that I love, like the fashion and the beauty bit. I'm feeling invigorated. I've got a new direction with my content. I'm in a slightly better place. I want to just push out some of that gorgeous, lovely, beautiful, loving energy that you were so kind to give me, and just know that the comment section, I think largely in general, my audience has really cultivated this loving, good energy community that I think is kind of like a reservoir that you can tap in to right now if you need it. I'm putting that intention out there, like just let it wash over you. If you need it right now, just know that I'm sending that loving support your way. Big deep breaths. You're loved, you're needed. And just to remind you that whatever it is you're trying to tackle right now, or trying to get through, or trying to move into, that all the strength that you need is inside you. External support is great, but at the end of the day, whatever strength that you need right now, it all lives in here.